This is a factory-made mass production. It's a factory-made violin, but even for that, we still can do to improve the sound. Okay. And when I see this violin, the string height. Okay, the string height is not a problem. It's okay. Only they use the metal strings, so it's very hard. Of course, the bridge is not very good, but today we don't have the tools, and we cannot make a bridge for this violin. So I can only do some adjustment to make the violin sound better. First, we see how it sounds. Okay. During the lunch break, we talked about a little bit about the sound. The students ask, what is the difference between factory violin and handmade violin? I have given them some basic ideas, the difference between a factory violin and a handmade violin. Of course, we talked about this topic many times before. The major difference between a factory violin and a handmade violin is not that the factory violin is made by feet. It is made by hand too. It's the method how to make the violin. Okay. Before we talk about this, we talk about a little bit about the tradition, about the violin making, the tradition. The violin making, we all know, start from Italy. Okay, Cremona. So Cremona has this tradition of handmade violin, which is a violin made by one master, one person from beginning to the end, by hands. Okay, this is called a handmade violin. And because so many people want to play violin, and we don't have enough violin for everybody, and also handmade violin, of course, is more expensive. It costs money to make a handmade violin. So the market needs to have some cheap violins, affordable price, and efficient quantity. Then it comes to the Germans. The Germans are very good at making factory making things. So the Germans had many, especially East Germany, have many big factories produce mass-produced violins. Okay, they are also made by hand, of course, but they are factory-made violins. I think in Germany it's called Fabrikat. Fabrikat. I don't know if it's a German word or not. But if you see a violin, Stradivarius, Fabrikat, then you know this is a Stradivarius model factory-made. There has been some, instance. Someone come make a phone call, says, "Oh, we found a violin at the loft at the cottage, and my grandfather left. It says Stradivarius." And I said, "Okay, if it's Stradivarius, it was like a few $1 million." All the family gets excited. Then the whole family came with this violin, and we say a lawyer came to the shop and to see. I said, "Oh, this is a factory-made." Not even in Germany, in Czechoslovakia, okay, a Czech-made factory violin was nothing. Then the family said, "No, maybe Stradivarius was a holiday, was a vacation in Czechoslovakia and made it there." So, okay, you can make the story anyway. It was nothing. So, so many Stradivarius violins, Fabrikat is factory-made. Okay, and then the Germans is getting more and more expensive. Then they make factory in Czech. Now it's Czech Republic. before it's called Czechoslovakia. Okay, then the factory made there is even cheaper. The quality is even, of course, I don't want to say more. And then the factory made violin is going to go to China. So China does not have a handmade violin tradition. It is started by factory method. Why? Because before we call it liberation, 1949, before the new China, People's Republic of China, there wasn't a violin making tradition in China. Of course, there was a few violin makers, but it was not like an industry. It was not like with a how can I put it? Anyway, you know what I mean. But after the liberation, we saw, you can say revolution or liberation, and there's so many people started play violins. Then there was an East German, from East Germany, because by that time it was a socialist family, socialist led by Soviet Union. So we have a Soviet Union, East Europe, and China, Albania, and North Korea, all the socialist countries, and Cuba, of course, Cuba, and we have like a socialist, circle. So the East Germans went to China to teach the Chinese masters how to make violin. Of course, they brought the factory making method to China. Okay, then the Chinese people learned all this and started making violins. And even the very first, I have to tell you the secret now. This is a secret, okay? The very first man won an international competition in Germany. This violin was factory made, okay? Was not a handmade violin. This master name is Dai, Dai. And he was the master of the factory. Then the factory made a violin, and another man make the top, put the bottom, put together. Another man did the varnish, and this master put his name in and went international competition, and won the first prize. Okay, it was a factory violin, because in China there wasn't a tradition to make a violin from beginning to the end by one person. Almost, I can say this, almost before the 1990s, up to 1990, almost no one in China can make a violin completely. No one. Okay, even the biggest master. Until one master called Mr. Zheng Quan. Okay, this man started at Cremona, learned his violin making at Cremona, and actually we were schoolmates. Okay, and we learned at the same school. And later he went to Cremona to study, and he made a violin, won the gold medal in Cremona competition. Very good. Okay, he's a good guy. Then he went back to China. Then he started to teach his students Italian method of making violins. So from 1990s, start to have another group of people, masters making handmade violins in China. Okay, then China has developed in totally different way. One group follow the German tradition and get the factory bigger and bigger, bigger and bigger. They even have like hundreds of thousands of people work in the factory. So all the violins in the world, it doesn't matter what brand. If it's German brand, if French brand, the Japanese brand, they're all made in Chinese factory. Okay? But there are individuals learned, taught by Mr. Zheng. Okay, he trained some individual violin makers. They can make a violin from beginning to the end. One master I know is Guan, Mr. Guan in Beijing. He is a very good master, very good master. I stayed in his house, okay? I watched him making violins. Okay, we made violins together, and for a certain period of time, and watched him from piece of wood until the violin of the varnish. Then I know that he is a master, can make a violin from beginning to the end. Now, okay, so now I talked about a little bit history about violin making. Today, even in Cremona, in many other countries, they still have many individual big masters can make violin from beginning to the end. We call it handmade violins. Of course, some masters also use students. Okay, students make violins, put their name in. It's also normal. It is normal in this business. Okay, even trace in the very early Stradivarius time, Amatis time, Sartori's time, and Violin, they all do the same. They all use the students' violin and put their own name and sell as their own instruments. So this is a tradition. And now, what is the difference between a factory violin and a handmade violin? Okay, basically we say it is the method. It is method. If it is made by handmade method, even it is made by a group of people, small group like 3 or 4 or 5 people, in a workshop, we still call it handmade violin. Okay? But if it is made by factory method, it doesn't matter, even if one person made it, it's still factory violin. Okay, what is difference? Okay, factory violin, especially today, they have a 3D printer. They have this kind of a computer programmed carver. They can carve in plate. You can put a Stradivarius there. They carve exactly the same as a Stradivarius. Okay. So they lost the tradition as a craft. They become the move from art craft. They move from art craft to products. This is also someone asking me a question. What's the difference between a plastic bow, a glass fiber bow, and a wood bow? If the glass fiber bow play better, why not? Then I say it's not a question about play better. It's a question about tradition. Bow making is art, craft, hand tradition. It cannot be replaced by a factory. Okay, if it can, it is already done, but it's not right. We do not recommend. Okay, don't tell me it's better, and don't tell me that is the correct way. Okay, there are many people do wrong things here in the world. They park in the wrong place. They hit the red lights, and they don't obey the traffic law, but they are not right. This is what I'm talking about. Okay, now we bring the topic back about the factory method of making violins and handmade violins. When it comes to handmade violins, the master, they have to think the back, okay, the pitch of the back. The pitch means the frequency of the back is F or F sharp, or is what frequency the back is, and the elasticity, hardness, everything. Then they think, how can we match a top go together with this violin? So first we have to consider to choose the material. Start from choose the material, choose the top and the back. Top and back, that the master think it will go well together. Of course, sometimes it goes wrong, of course. Okay, same like a match, how to match memory. So marriage, matched marriage. Okay, someone just match a girl and a boy and girl together. They think they go well, so they match them. Okay. You're a handsome boy, good boy. You're a pretty girl, nice girl. So you must be a good couple. Yeah, sometimes it goes well, but sometimes it could go wrong. Okay, even the master, they could go wrong. But at least they have an idea. At least they put them together. Okay, one. Secondly, when they make top and button and top, make the plates, they have to tune the plates. I talked this before. What do you mean to tune? So if the back, the wood is soft, they have to make it a little thicker to make the pitch a little higher. And also the thickness of every place is different. Each place is different. Okay? Like this is a 5.5 or 5.3, or that's a 2.8, 2.7, 2.5. You know, every place the thickness is different. Then they put together. When you play a violin, it is not the whole box is moving. It's only one part of the wood is vibrates, move. So this kind of sound you can hear very clearly. You hear a very clear sound, just like I'm talking now. I'm talking now, it's a very clear voice, can transmit for a long distance. So handmade violin, theoretically, basically, is not noisy. It's not like a big vibration, not big resonance, okay, for a handmade violin. It's very clear. But for factory-made violins, I mean the old way. Even today, factory-made violins, they also make a different thicknesses, and you know, because they have this high technology now. They have this machine. Then I talk about the machine later, okay? What is wrong with the machine, okay? Then the old way of making violins, like German ways and Czech ways, the traditional factory-made violins, they don't care the thicknesses. They use the machine to wash it and make the same thickness, okay, same, and just put them together. So they don't care. Good husband, good wife, doesn't matter. And just like this, one top, one bottom, pong, together, a violin, a violin, a violin. Okay, of course, it could happen. Sometimes it could happen have a big, good couple. You know, they can match each other well, if you're lucky enough. But most of the case, it's not that. Okay, so this kind of factory-made violin, method-made violin, the most likely is have a huge resonance. Okay, the huge vibration in the box. Okay, so I can give you one example. It sounds like this. It sounds like I put something in my mouth. You can try. If you put something in front of your mouth and you can hear the sound, it's very huge. All come to your ear. Okay, but for this sound with a distance, people cannot hear. People don't know what you're talking about. Okay, it's not clear at all. So this is why if you play a factory-made violin, you feel very big sound. Okay, very good sound, big, huge sound, very much resonance. But it will damage your ear for a long time. You put it here, you play. It's so much vibration, then your ear can be damaged. Okay. Then you will have kind of disease. Every time you put a violin, you feel, oh, it's painful. Okay, because you can hear this violin. I can give an example. This violin vibrates the sound much more like a box sound than any other violins. You can hear like. Violin, can you borrow your violin, please? There's no violin sounds like this before. Like this violin, this was the first violin I tuned. Very big sound, very huge sound, but it's not like box sound. Okay? Yours. This is the second violin I tuned. Okay? But we'll come back to this violin. Please, listen. So this violin has no teeth. Okay? If you play like a hear the difference. It has we call it a vowel or consonant. Okay, we say t, k, p. Okay, like this, we have like a, especially this one. Okay, you can clearly listen to the consonants. Very clear. But with this violin, yeah, there's no consonants. It's only the vowel. So with the distance, it's like an old lady without teeth. Hello, I love you very much. What? I love you very, very much. Oh, thank you. So that is a difference. So this is why I strongly recommend all students. I say it again, playing violin itself is a luxury. Okay? Don't say, oh, violin is very expensive. Okay, you play flute then. Okay, the bamboo flute is cheap. But if you want to play violin, violin is something not for everybody. It is for a little higher, in the beginning, in the history. The noble people, they play violin, and ordinary people in the countryside, they don't play violin. So you have to understand this, okay? It costs money. Of course, every family has a family situation, everyone has their own situation. But just to save your money and little by little, and ask for help, and get a handmade violin. Okay, a handmade violin, very basic one. For my shop, is at least $1,000. Okay, $1,000. I think for $1,000 to buy a handmade violin is reasonable, and I think most people can afford. Okay, if it's not like a life and death situation in Africa, you don't have food to eat, of course you don't play violin. But if you have a normal life, you can consider to buy a computer or a violin, or good cell phone, 2 cell phones, and then you can buy a violin, okay? So I strongly recommend you start with handmade violins. Now, even for this violin, it is factory made. I still want to make it sound better.